Yeah. There's all kinds of shit. Do you know Sweden became an economic power after World War II because simple the fact that they were standing, because they remained neutral. They looked the other way while the Nazis went into Norway, and they didn't do a thing about it. This is a great story, right? And Sweden used to own the lower third of Norway, and Norway bought it back. And after the war, they were so broke, they said, can you buy it back from us? And to add insult to injury, when they needed the money, they said no. And then Norway kept it, and then they discovered all this oil. And now Norway is crushing economically over Sweden, and Sweden comes in and does the jobs that Norwegians don't want to do. That's what they told me over there, yeah. It's fascinating over there. Finland also defeated the Russians, but because they were aligned with the Axis, they ended up losing, even though they won.
Gulf of Finland is right next to St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and the thing was, anybody that was on Hitler's side, they assumed that they knew what the fuck he was doing. But I look at Finland like they were stuck between two of the biggest madmen ever, Stalin and Hitler, and you had to pick a poison. Ooh. And if you look at the Russian cars and you look at the German cars, you're like, I think they're going to win. So I think they went with that. I mean, they had like fucking liquid-cooled machine guns. I read all of this shit. They like, if you were an American GI and you killed a German, you dropped your weapon and picked up theirs. That's how far superior. Well, did you ever hear that fucking Norm Macdonald said one time? He goes, Germany's like this, I think it's like the size of Maine. They tried to take over the world, and he goes, and they almost did it.
They're the size of Maine?
Something like that. I mean, it's not.
That's so crazy when you think that America's so big, and then I don't think I've ever really. When I think of Japan, I think of Asia. I don't think of like Japan being that island.
Can I tell you something? That's why their cars were so fucking superior and why they looked down on us. Because the way we designed our cars, we had all this open space. So it was about pinning it and going in a straight line because you could. And they were driving, they wanted to go fast too, and they're driving down all these streets that they used to fucking ride horses down. So their suspension, their turning and all that was just far superior just out of necessity.
Whoa.
Yeah, so then we were just like muscle car, big fucking engine. So that's why they looked down on us, and there was, especially in Formula One, there's this great book called The Limit.
Have you seen Ford and Ferrari?
Wait, The Limit?
Yeah.
Of course I saw that.
I haven't seen it.
The Limit, and it was the first time an American won the Formula One championship. And they looked down on us like we were vulgar, and we were idiots and stuff. And this guy got the best ride. He got the Ferrari ride in Formula One. And this is how fucking much people died back then and how much they didn't give a fuck. His ride, when he got it, it had a hole in the fucking floor pan like that. First of all, the fact that they would leave that shows you how primitive aerodynamics was. First of all, how high up the car sat.
Yeah.
And that air just going in there, just what that would do as far as drag. And the reason why they had the hole in there was because the last guy who drove it got decapitated and he bled out in the car. So they drilled a hole in it, and he they hosed off all of the blood, and they're like, this is your ride. And that was the big thing. Enzo Ferrari, when a driver would die, he would be, with a little cappuccino, would say how sad that was, and then his next question was, how's the car? Dude, you have to look at some of the old Formula Ones, dude. There's people standing on straightaways behind a fucking yellow rope. And you're on a straightaway and you think you're safe until cars hit each other, and then the physics of that sends it into the crowd. Dude, there was a guy, he fucking crashed. The hood of his car came off and went through the crowd like a Chinese star and decapitated a whole row of people. His car was airborne. He landed on like a fucking Jersey barrier, dead on fire in front of all these people and he's just like that. There's footage of it. When I read the book, I looked it up. I'm sorry. The guy's name was, his name was Crash, was his nickname.
No.
Yeah, lunatic. He's the guy who goes into the crowd and people just underneath the car. The heat of the engine dying. I mean, just sitting on your fucking face. I mean, it was fucking brutal. And it was just like, you couldn't sue anybody back then.
No.
And he went to the race. It did not go so well. How's the car? Bert, you are up next, yeah?
We'll look at the German cars. We'll look at the Russian cars. I think we're going to go with Germany on this one. I love that.
I'm sure it's
I could listen to a whole show when they break down history in the way that Malcolm Gladwell does those books. You know, like just the economics of history.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, you got to get into racing. And what you got to watch, you got to watch MotoGP, which is the fucking top motorcycle races. It's the most exciting fucking racing that's out there. There was like 4 races this year where Marc Marquez and Andres Dovizioso pass each other like fucking 5 times on the final fucking lap. I couldn't believe how much I was screaming like I'm watching a football game. I like the Ducatis.
I'm a Harley guy. I was thinking I'm doing this show out.
One of my goals is at some point I want to ride a fucking what's their the big one?
Fat Boy?
Not the Fat Boy, the fucking classic. The oh my god.
Softail?
No, dude, you don't know shit about motorcycles either.
I don't.
A Road King. I want to ride a Road King in the middle of this country.
No.
Oh, I want to do that.
Tom Papa did that across country.
Tom Papa's a really good motorcycle. You never know.
His dad's obsessed with motorcycles.
Yeah.
Like a legit motorcycle.
He drove across country with his wife.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Tom Papa's such an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's like, doesn't seem like the guy.
Hey, how are you? How's it going? He's baking bread and shit. And it's just like, yeah, I rode a Harley across country.
Someone just said something about Tom Papa to me.
He's probably wearing a sport coat when he did it.
Someone just said something about Tom Papa to me the other day. They're like, no, yeah, you know, he's like black belt in jiu-jitsu or something.
No, he isn't.
No, he's a boxer or something. Someone just said it to me the other day, and I went, Tom Papa? And they're like, oh, yeah.
I want to see Tom Papa knock out a heckler.
Oh.
That would be the...
I bet he could.
And then go right back into his clean comedy.
He's got that old 1940s man vibe.
He is.
You know?
He is. He was in the best possible way. I'm saying this. He was born in the wrong era. You ever go to his when he has parties and stuff? Like he does like the entire 7-course Italian meal.
He's a great dude.
He is. It's fucking amazing. And then afterwards, you smoke a cigar with him. It's just like somebody's still flying the flag here. I love this. Yeah.
And he doesn't push for conversation. You know, like there's something. You and Segura are like that. You don't.
One of my favorite things he ever did. I'm not going to say who the comic was, but just one of these fucking comics who's just at first you like them and then they're fucking annoying. And the dude came up to him and in front of everybody started talking to me. He goes, "Don't talk to me." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "Because every time you talk to me, you want something." And it was just classic him, right to the fucking point. And it was so. I remember thinking, like, that's what I've been trying to say to this guy. I just didn't know how to say it. And there wasn't a curse. He didn't raise his voice. He said it right. And all the guy could do, you know, I have this big thing. When somebody puts their hand to their chest like this, they're lying.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying. I was just blah, blah, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He got him so bad, I think it was both hands. You know why I came up with that? When that publicist backed over all of those fucking people out on Long Island.
Oh, yeah.
And the cops came to her house. She had so much fucking money. A lawyer met the cops in the driveway and said, she'll come down there tomorrow. And I remember reading that going, I didn't know you could do that.
She'll come down there tomorrow.
Yeah.